We are Team T, and we did our report on nitrolids at Starbucks.
Recently, Starbucks has announced that they would be eliminating their single-use plastic straws in a move to become more environmentally conscious. In place of those straws, they have introduced the NitroLid, a plastic lid with an opening for customers to sip their beverages. They also have plans to use biodegradable paper straws as alternatives as well, according to the Starbucks website. A research question was, among the students who drink coffee, what percentage reported that their perception of Starbucks as a company was improved, lowered, or neither improved nor lowered since their elimination of single-use straws was announced? The goal of our report was to research and determine what kind of impact this would have on Starbucks' image and their current customers. Our hypothesis was that a large percentage of the surveyed population would report that their perception of Starbucks would improve with the company's new plan and could potentially influence other companies to follow suit. Next, we will discuss our background information, secondary data, and how we proceeded with our research.
The concern about the environment is a crucial topic among both academicians and practitioners. According to Gallup poll, a majority of Americans favor protecting the environment even over economic growth. According to GfK survey of the American consumer, 56% of consumers in the United States say they are willing to pay more to use environment-friendly or green products. They further state that 49% agree at least partly with the statement, "A company's environmental record is important to me in my purchasing decisions." However, according to some academic studies, consumers don't regularly use corporate social responsibility as a purchasing criterion. Moreover, behaviors recycling and buying environmentally friendly products are not always good predictors of consumers' willingness to pay more for green products. Because of the absence of clear interpretation of whether green strategies make sense to American consumer and if they are beneficial to the brands that implement them, we think our study may provide some important insights to Starbucks marketers.
Our research targeted coffee drinkers studying at San Diego State University from ages 18 to 34. We used surveys with a length ranging from 2 to 5 minutes and a variety of closed-ended questions and open-ended questions. The survey was sent out to our sample via email using a non-profitability convenience sample. A series of questions were asked regarding Starbucks and its sustainable efforts to identify the impact that the introduction of nitrolates made on Starbucks. The specifics of our questionnaire consisted in 4 screening questions, which filtered for students that attend an SDSU, age, and coffee drinkers. Then the questionnaire was split up into 2 parts. The first part was related to the topic of the research, and the second part was to identify the demographic characteristics. Our final sample was made up to 101 respondents, as you can see on the right, 69 being female, 31 being male, 71 native to California, and then it was broken down to current academic standing. Now we're going to talk to you a little more about our data analysis strategy.
For our data analysis, we cleaned all of the bad answers from the data. Then we conducted a descriptive analysis of variables that helped answer our research question, such as the participants' change of perception of Starbucks after the introduction of the NitroLid, as well as other environmental outlooks and preferences. We completed analysis of these variables compared with demographics, such as gender, to see if respondents differed in their answers to the survey questions. After completing these analyses, we ran a multiple linear regression model to see which variables influenced the differences shown in the response to the survey questions.
For our key results, we believe that San Diego State students' improvement on their perception of Starbucks after the introduction of nitrolid can be determined by the gender of the respondent. More females reported having an improved perception of Starbucks after introducing the nitrolid. Also by their personal opinion of the importance of the environmental protection over the economic growth. Environmentally conscious people were also more receptive to the business action than those that were not. We were also able to determine this by their personal evaluation whether the introduction of nitrolid was a good or bad business decision for Starbucks. And lastly, we were able to determine this by their personal belief in that Starbucks' elimination of single-use straws will directly affect the environment. Respondents who believed that Starbucks' decision would directly affect the environment reported a higher improvement on their perception of Starbucks than those who did not. Someone who is most likely to report that one's perception of Starbucks was improved after the introduction of the nitro lid is considered someone who believes that the importance of the environmental protection is higher than that of the economic growth. They also believe that the action of Starbucks will directly affect the environment. And lastly, evaluates the introduction of nitro lid as a very good business decision. Someone who is least likely to report that one's perception of Starbucks was improved after the introduction of the nitro lid is someone who considers the importance of economic growth higher than the environmental protection. Someone that believes that the action of Starbucks will not directly affect the environment. And lastly, they evaluate the introduction of the nitro lids as a very bad business decision.
So how can we interpret our key findings? Our key findings showed that about 70 to 80% of our respondents had a higher perception towards Starbucks after the introduction of the nitro lids. With there being a higher perception towards Starbucks, this indicates that consumers see this as a good business decision. This could influence other businesses such as restaurants and cafes to follow suit.
However, despite the positive evaluation of Starbucks' decision, this action does not increase the frequency of purchases. The main reason mentioned by the respondents why the action did not have any impact or lowered the perception of Starbucks after the introduction of nitro lids was that they believed that the use of plastic was not being reduced. This means that the consumers are not aware that the lids are recyclable. It is a sign for Starbucks marketers to put effort to educate consumers about the benefits of the new strawless lids.
Some limitations of our study include the fact that we only recorded the perspectives of students from San Diego State University and only those between the ages of 18 to 34. We also did not record the perspectives of non-coffee drinkers, which may have limited our study because Starbucks offers other beverages. Also, we used a convenient sample, which likely resulted in the use of biased results. Lastly, we did not use a pre-test post-test for our study. This could have prevented us from having accurate results. Starbucks could take our research one step further. They have the budget, the time, and the capability to do so, and it might be in their best interest. They could reconduct our study with a larger sample size, and that would reduce the margin of error. They also could test other sustainable efforts that they have done and see how that resonates with their consumers.